Hello everybody, we're doing a Hitchcock review this week. This time we're talking about Rope, which is one of Hitchcock's shorter films, clocking in at only 80 minutes. This one is his first color movie, and it's in Technicolor. It was released in 1948 and stars James Stewart, John Dahl, and Farley Granger. Dahl and Granger play Brandon and Philip, two intellectual young men who conspire to commit a perfect murder. They kill their friend David and hide his body in a chest, and then throw a party at which his parents and fiancé are guests. Sounds fun, doesn't it? This film is based loosely on a play, which was itself inspired by the infamous Leopold and Leb case of 1924. College students Leopold and Leb were fascinated with the idea of committing the perfect murder, so they kidnapped and murdered a 14-year-old boy, believing that their so-called intellectual superiority would clear them of blame. This is not the first or last time Hitchcock toyed with the idea of the perfect murder. Because I'm such a big fan of Shadow of a Doubt, it reminds me of Henry Travers and Hume Cronin, who adapted the screenplay for Rope, by the way, passing their evenings arguing about how to kill someone and get away with it. It's not such a crazy topic. I figure most people who are murder mystery or true crime fans discuss it at least once in their lives, without acting on it. But in Rope, the characters carry out their plan, and according to their twisted philosophy, they're allowed to commit the heinous crime because they're intellectually superior individuals. What makes that extra creepy to me is that on the outside, Brandon and Philip are just regular guys. They might come across as conceited, pretentious jerks, but not obvious criminals. But actually, they're a seriously sick, deranged pair. One is on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and the other is so cocky he can't help dropping little hints everywhere, and the question I find myself asking about these two apparently perfectly normal people is which one is more mentally unstable. Philip is uneasy right from the start, and his guilt, no, he doesn't feel guilty so much as afraid and paranoid. These feelings prey on him throughout the party. He's most likely to crack under pressure. Brandon doesn't help that situation. He likes needling people and manipulating them into uncomfortable situations, and he doesn't give in to Philip's protests to stop because he's having too much fun. He doesn't seem unstable like Philip does. On the contrary, he's urbane, sociable, and completely self-controlled. Too controlled. That affable exterior is barely concealing an egotistical, ruthless psychopath. And he's so stinkin' full of himself that he can't help making the night a little more thrilling by inviting their old friend Rupert, that's Jimmy Stewart's character, who is the most likely person to notice anything untoward going on. I think that's a pretty stupid move for someone to make who thinks he's so much more intelligent than everyone else, but the more danger there is, the better Brandon likes it, the more exhilarated he feels, and he wants the pleasure of the kill to last all night long. Their friend Rupert is kind of an interesting character. He's a little eccentric, but very astute, almost to the point of omniscience. He seems suspicious of Brandon and Philip from the moment he walks in. Jimmy Stewart here is as good as he always was, even if he felt he wasn't right for the part and didn't enjoy the movie much. Rupert is one of the few characters in the movie who I think acts the most genuine, and he, along with Mrs. Wilson and Mrs. Atwater, provides the bulk of the humor, which is generally of the morbid variety. This Hitchcock movie doesn't go in for a lot of banter, though, instead opting to keep the tension high throughout, and the suspense crescendos every time anything happens that concerns the murder weapon, the rope, or the location of the body, the chest. I especially love the scene in which Mrs. Wilson, the housekeeper, is clearing the chest of the dinner things. We hear the characters discussing David's whereabouts in the background, but Hitchcock slyly keeps them off camera, amping up the anticipation by focusing instead on Mrs. Wilson, with the chest in the foreground as she takes things away one by one, and then she starts to open the chest. But the thing I especially enjoy about this movie is the technical background of how it was made. Hitchcock wanted this movie to seem as if it were one long, continuous shot. But that wasn't possible shooting on film because film could only hold 10 minutes of footage. So Hitchcock used some editing tricks. There are some conventional edits in the movie, but they are few. What he usually does instead is have the camera zoom in on someone's back, and it goes dark for a second, and then it pulls back. You might notice a little adjustment to the picture, and that's where the two rolls of film are put together. The set design is remarkable as well. Aside from an exterior establishing shot of the apartment during the opening credits, the entire movie takes place in a few rooms of this spacious apartment. And in order to allow the camera to move freely as it followed the characters around, the set was constructed with movable pieces so that walls and furniture could be rolled out of the way. Sounds to me like a pretty brutal filming experience, with each take stretching to 7, 8, 9 minutes long, and everything has to be done just right, so that's a lot of script to have memorized, a lot of marks to hit, and there were wires all over the floor, and camera equipment, and walls and furniture moving all around constantly. Yikes. I would not like that. It was tough for the crew as well. One popular behind-the-scenes story tells of a camera operator who broke his foot when a dolly rolled over it, but because they were only partway through one of several long and involved scenes, he was gagged and pulled off set so that his cries of pain wouldn't interrupt production. Wow! Rope is often considered a movie that takes place in real time. It's not really. If it were, then that is a ridiculously short dinner party. But it does very well at creating the illusion of real time. Hitchcock cheats a little bit here and there, and the setting sun outside helps convey the passage of time. The city skyline effect was achieved with the use of a cyclorama, complete with chimney smoke, changing clouds, city lights, and of course a sunset. I don't think I noticed any of these details the first time or two that I saw it when I was a kid, but when I got older and noticed some of it for myself, it was like, wow, that's so cool! And I love it when an old movie makes you feel like that, makes you wonder, how'd they do that? Rope is not one of my particular favorites. I don't think it makes it into my top 10, because there are so many other Hitchcock movies that I like better, but I know it's a favorite of many, and it's one of my brother's favorites. As always with these Hitchcock reviews, there's more that could be said, and has been said, but I'll stop there. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching!